Hello everybody and welcome back to Kivy School. Today will be the ScreenManager video. It's going to be about how to make an app like this where you have multiple screens. So as you can see here, I'm just flipping through multiple screens of this like fake app. Now, what is a ScreenManager? A ScreenManager is used to manage apps with multiple screens, as you can see already, and it's a pre-built solution provided by Kivy itself. Now, let's get started. The first thing I want to show just very quickly is most of the information is already here on the Kivy org page. If you have the time, please go read through it. It's very good. There are some notes that I got from the page. The first one is that when you are creating a screen, you absolutely need to give a name to it, right? So how are you going to give a name to a screen? There's two ways. The first way is to just say name equals when you're making a screen through Python. The second way is here using Kivy. And in Kivy, you can say just name : user screen. Okay. By default, the first screen added to the ScreenManager will be displayed. You can then change to another screen. Here's the fake app that I've made. This has 5 screens. It's going to be the home page, which is this, the settings page, which is this, the user profile, which is this, right? The media page, which is this, media screen, and then the trending page, which is like this. In this fake app, I already have 5 screens, 4 here, including this initial home screen. And then now let's go over the code line by line. So what's the first thing you're gonna do? You're gonna say from Kivy app import app, that's correct. From Kivy lang import builder, and all the builder is going to do is load a string. And the string is going to be the Kivy file that you want to feed for your app. Now you can see in the app, what's the first thing you want for a Kivy string? First thing you want to do is look at the root widget. So the root widget is going to be ScreenManager example, right? Why is it the root widget? Because it doesn't have these angle brackets. If their angle brackets were there, that would mean it's just a class definition. But when you remove the angle brackets and use just a colon, that means you're actually using the widget. It's the only one here that doesn't have angle brackets. So it's the root widget that is provided by this Kivy string. Everything else you see here has angle brackets. Now, let's go here and say, okay, so what is ScreenManager example? Now, ScreenManager example here, when you say use the add syntax, that means you just inherit from a base Kivy class. Now, in the base Kivy class, it's ScreenManager. All this means is, because I'm inheriting from a base Kivy class, I don't have to say, declare it again as class, ScreenManager example, screen, right? You don't need to do that. In this Kivy string, this first line just says import os. Why do I do this? Because later on in the code, I will show that I'm using some os imports and paths, like path.join, path.split. I will show that later. Let's go here. Again, ScreenManager example at ScreenManager. All that means is I'm using the base ScreenManager class, and I'm defining a new class around it that's going to be custom, and it's going to be extending the original ScreenManager. Because of this add syntax, I don't need to redefine the class again in the Python. This ID, ScreenManager ID, and again by default, the first screen added to the ScreenManager will be displayed. You can then change to another screen, and I have the link here. So here are 5 screens: start screen, settings screen, user screen, media screen, and trending screen. Now, who's the manager? It's always going to be ScreenManager. You need to give it names. So you can just do name : and then any kind of string. Right now, I just say start screen in lowercase. That way I know it's a string. That way I know it's the name of the start screen and not the class name. Because if you say something like start screen like this, then you're going to be confused. Okay, is this a string? Or is this a class usage? Or is this a class instance, right? You should really make sure that things, like multiple things, are not named the same. Just very quickly. And again, all of these 5 pages are very similar. You have a manager, which is always going to be ScreenManager. ID for the screens. When your app gets more complicated, you're going to reference all your widgets by ID. And the name of each screen, because it says in the docs you should name them. And then, so start screen, settings screen, user screen, media screen, and trending screen. Okay, so now what's the next step? I've defined these screens, but I also need to define their class definitions, either through Python or through Kivy. Let's go to start screen. Now start screen at screen, it's just a regular screen. And then here I'm going to actually use these widgets. I'm not going to define a class definition anymore. I'm actually using an instance of box layout, and it's going to be vertical -m inspector like this. So I use the inspector module, so I can show you. Press Control E, you can show the inspector. So now I will show you this box layout. This box layout is orientation horizontal. So let's show the parent, right? For orientation horizontal, the size hint is 1 because it's the x-axis, 0.1 on the y-axis because it's 1/10 of the screen. Now there's 4 buttons, so let's count 1, 2, 3, 4 buttons, correct? And then as you can see here, these are just some unit codes to this file right here, which is going to be field here. It's going to be coming from this material designs icon, web font.ttf. It's just a very specific font family, and this font family has a lot of icons that are in the material design style, and this is what KivyMD uses. But because I don't want to have a very heavy project using KivyMD, I take very specifically just the font that they're using and then use it for my own project, making the project more lightweight. Because I don't need all the other features of KivyMD. I just need their fonts. So here, again, I found the font that says for the text, right? It's going to be a transition screen. There's also going to be user screen. There's also going to be media screen. So here, this is this button. Here, this is this button. Here, this is this button. And here, it is this button. Okay, next step is this font name, right? What is this font name really? So I'll just very quickly show you with import pdb and set stack trace. So again, I said that this button's on the left, so let's run it. Okay, so what is this? Let's just check it out, right? Let's copy and paste. Let's ask the app directly using pdb. What is this? Oh, it's just the path to my webfont.ttf, right? Where it's right here, you're going to see in C users, VBox user, desktop, Kivy examples, Kivy X, Kivy example again, it's your resources, this font. Okay, so let's break it up very quickly. Okay, what's from the very beginning? What is it? Right here, it's the os.kit current working directory. It's this current working directory I'm in. It's going to be this 2024 7.2 folder, right? But because I know I have to go one up, I want to split it. I want to take off the inner file and then go up one. Why is that the case? Because this 0 resources is in an upper level. I'm in here. I want to go up and go here, right? Let's go like this. Split the current working directory like so. Then I have the head and the tail. I don't need the tail, so I just get one. And then why can I split it like this, right? Check the type. Go like this. It's gonna be a tuple, right? And then the tuples can be indexable. So what is the 0th element of this tuple? It's going to be the head, right? So I have the very beginning. I don't have the end. So the beginning, and then let's see what else. Now I have the beginning right here. I just want to join it with this file because I know the file location is going to be in 0_resources. And then again, I also want to add the web font. It's 3 parts. The first part is this head. The second part is going to be 0 resources. So let's do it like this. This is the first half. Then this is the second half. Sorry, not second half, but second part. And then this is the third part right here. Right? And I've already kind of pre-constructed my address on in my repo, right? But how do I make this into a complete file location? You simply use os.path.join. And os.path.join will connect all of these and create a cross-platform way of knowing this file location in my repo. Then so let's see it. It will be Again, os.path.join the first half, which is the head of my current working directory, because I'm going up one. Then 0 resources, because I know the folder name of the folder below. And then I add the material design icons web font TTF, because I also know the name of the font. So if you go like this, you will get the font location. And that is the correct location on my system in my repo. And then we can just compare. C users, there's 2 slashes here because the first one is an escape character. So it's just escaping itself. So the 2 slashes will just reduce to 1 slash when it gets parsed. Users, the box user, desktop, Kivy examples, Kivy example, Kivy example, 0 resources, and the name of the font. That's all this huge section on font name is. I'm just specifying a font name. And then again, font size DP40. On release, I'm just PDB. You don't need it. What else? You don't need this because it's commented. Similarly, this is text as an image. You don't need this because it's commented out. Again, it's the font name, font size. On release, go to the new screen, right? And from here, I say root.parent.current settings screen. So again, let's say, okay, why is there root and parent? So from this PDB, let's check root, right? Oh, the root is just my screen, right? Which is start screen. Because if you go here, the root, okay? But I don't want to tell the screen to change screens. In order to change screens, you need to tell the screen manager itself to go to a different screen. So how do you do that? Because I know that start screen right here is also a child of ScreenManager. Root of this button is start screen. Go to the parent of start screen, you'll go to ScreenManager. And then at ScreenManager, you tell the current screen to be the name of the screen. So go root, which is start screen, root.parent is going to be our ScreenManager example. Notice it's not saying ScreenManager, it's saying ScreenManager example because it is an instance of our class that we have defined here in the Kivy. Right here, then we go, okay, let's check the current, right? Root.parent.current. What is it right now? Start screen, right? But we want to change it to settings screen. And then if PDB were not on, it would just go to the settings screen. That's why these screens need to be named, because the screen manager needs a name so it knows what screen you're going to. If this screen was not named, you would not be able to do this technique. See what next? Keep going, keep going, keep going. And then again, you have a button that just says start screen, right? And then the orientation is vertical, back to start. So if we go like this, exit. So the rest of the code and turn off PDB. So it's settings screen, at screen. Go here, the settings screen. All it does is have 2 buttons, back to start, which sets the current screen to start screen. And that's a button that says settings screen, right? And then I have said, okay, what are we going to do when we press this button? Self.text, the text of this button is going to be app.getCurrentApp.rootCurrent. Now, why is this important? Because one way of getting to your screen manager is from your widget going all the way up to your screen manager example, right? From this widget here, this button, I was able to get root, which is start screen, and the start screen's parent, which is screen manager. There's a second way to get the screen manager, and that second way is using app.getRunningApp. Because usually you have an app that uses a screen manager, your screen manager should be the root app. So in order to do that, we just go to app.getRunningApp, go to root, which is our screen manager, and then set the current screen using that way. So there's 2 parts to this. The first part is that app.getRunningApp.root is the Screen Manager example widget, right? And the second part is that this current attribute is actually a string, and this string is a proxy for the actual screen. This is the second way to get to your Screen Manager. Go app.getRunningApp, right? Get to your app object. Now let's check what the root is. What's root? It's going to be your Screen Manager example. Why is that? Because in my example, and usually even in your apps, you should be returning a Screen Manager as your root widget. That way your screens are handled automatically by the Screen Manager. So okay, we're at that point. What next? Why am I doing .current? Why am I able to use .current as a text? app.getRunningRoot.current, and then let's just check the type. Let's check the type. What is it? It's a string. Now why is this a string? Because actually up here we have already defined it as a string where it's named as start screen. And when you set a new string, the string actually corresponds to a screen that you have created. And this link is created when you define a screen and the name. So the name and the screen are correlated through the Screen Manager. But as you can see, the .current attribute itself is actually just a string. So I can use the current attribute as the text for self-text. I do not have to type change it into a string, basically. So that's just something to keep in mind. And this string to screen relation is created by you using the Screen Manager when you say the name is a start screen under the actual screen itself in your Kivy. So there's that. I've covered this. User screen, add screen. This is another box layout. Okay. Setting screen. It's just a vertical box layout. There's two buttons. Back to start. And then setting screen. Or rather, user screen. I'm here. And then here it's going to be a media screen. Back to start. And it says it's a media screen. And back to start. I have a trending screen. It just says trending screen. So that's the Kivy done. Now let's check for the Python. It's very quick and very simple. It just says, okay, we need an app class. So this is going to be my Screen Manager app, right? I've set the title Screen Manager example. If you can see here, the title is set to Screen Manager example. You can also set the icon as well. And then in the build method, as long as you return any root widget, which is returned by builder.load_string, which is this Kivy string up here. And as you can see, the root widget is Screen Manager. If you want to use a Screen Manager, you have to return it in any way. You can also just load a Kivy, but here I'm loading the Kivy using builder.loadString. This is actually Kivy because if you make any kind of like random indents, right, it will complain. It will say, hey, you had an invalid indentation, must be a multiple of 4 spaces. So this is actually should be compliant Kivy code. If you are not compliant, it will complain. And then if name equals main, all this means is that you have it's just a guard to make sure that this module is called directly, or otherwise if it is called as a module, it will not run this code. And then this again is just to make the window on top. And then okay, finally your main.py, you're not a module, you make the window on top. Now let's run the app, and then that's the code line by line. Okay, now I've gone through code line by line. I did say about I returned Screen Manager as a root widget. Now the first thing is, okay, how do you switch screens? So again, I've covered it. You're going to check for how to access this Screen Manager. Again, I showed you 2 ways. The first way is from the widget itself. You can go up the tree and then go through some parents and then get to Screen Manager if you use the Screen Manager as your root widget. That's why it's very important to use the Screen Manager as your root widget. So there's the first way, right? Go root.parent, a parent, get to the Screen Manager. The second way is going to be using app.getRunningApp right? Check the root, which should be your screen manager. Then just set the current attribute to be the name of the screen that you have set already in the Kivy. So I've covered this. Why root parent? To tell the screen manager itself, there's two ways: top down and then bottom up. So this. Now, how do you get the current screen? Again, you can get the current screen using this code, which is just ask for the current attribute, right? So go here, just ask for the current attribute. Ooh. Right? It will tell you, okay, the attribute is just settings screen, right? Why? Because this is the string you have set as the name of your screen that will be linked to each other and referenced under your screen manager. Okay, I'll just very quickly touch up on the proper way to manipulate widgets. For example, if you look at a web page, right? At the web page, they have some sort of backend or data type that your widgets will read from or inherit from. And then one example is, look at Facebook, right? Facebook has a web page, and that page itself, all the widgets query the Facebook backend, and they display the information accordingly. But because we do not have a backend, I will show you how to manually manipulate widgets instead. Okay, so very quickly, I'm going to touch upon how to manipulate widgets from app.getRunningApp. And one thing I want to show you is that another example is the Image Painter app. You can watch it on your own if you would like. Now, it's also similar to how to manipulate a widget in another screen, which I've combined the example together and changed the text on the button. Basically, what I'm going to do is from this start screen, I'm going to change the text on this media page, right? Now, how are we going to do that? The trick is to use app.getRunningApp. So in this code right here, you're going to see app.getRunningApp.root, which is going to be the screen manager, and then .ids, media screen ID, .ids, media button ID. And then you can see there's extra pair of quotes because that's what PDB has told me. Then I'll just say .text to change the attribute of the text to be change text from main screen. And I'll change the actual button itself to be change text in media screen. If I press it now, say, oh, I've changed the text in media screen. And guess what? I've also changed the text from the main screen. If we start again, I'll show you the original and then I will show you the modified. Start screen, media screen, right? But if I press like this, I've changed the text in the media screen. So you can go here, I've changed the text from the main screen, right? Now we'll go to PDB, then we'll just go down the list and then see why I have an extra quote in here, which I think will trip up a lot of new Kivy users. But if you use PDB and you just ask the app, hey, what is this really named? What's going on? Just get the answer from the app directly itself. Don't ever guess anymore. So if you press like this, you can see PDB has started, right? Now let's check, okay, what's this app.getRunningApp exists, right? And again, what are the usual suspects? Got self, right? And you got args, right? So there's no args, and who's self? The button, because the button's the one I pressed already, right? So because I pressed already, that's self. So we're not interested in the button, we're not interested in the args, we're just interested in the app itself. We're going down from the top level of the app. We go app.getRunningApp, right? Now what else are we going to do? Let's check the root widget, right? Which is going to be Screen Manager, because I've set it to be the root widget. Set it to be the root widget right here. Okay, next we're going to go like this. Okay, let's check some IDs. Why? Because I've manually set these IDs. Now the IDs are going to be start screen ID, start screen, setting screen ID, settings, right? And again, I've manually set them. The IDs are right here, right? The IDs are in the Kivy. So I want to change very specifically the media screen ID, right? So okay, you have app.getRunningApp.root IDs, and then media screen ID, right? So again, we proxy to media screen. And why does this work? Why does this work? Because IDs, if you look at this, right, what does this remind you of? It reminds you of like index slicing, or in the case of this, it should remind you of a dictionary key element pair, because it is. If you check for this, what is this really, right? Let's check the type. It's going to be unobservable dictionary, which is, for all intents and purposes, just a regular dictionary. And then, so you can see right here, you can check for the keys as well as the values. Right? So we're using the ID of media screen ID just to go to media screen and keep going. So now we will be at the media screen. And again, in the media screen, I very quickly updated off camera. Now there's going to be IDs here, right? There's star button ID and there's media button ID. So let's look at them and see them in action, right? Now we have star button ID and media button ID. But if you notice, this has an extra quote. This has an extra quote, but these do not, right? So because of that, I noticed, oh, okay, what I need to write down for my key value pair is not going to be star button ID with single quotes. It has to be, or not star button, sorry, media button ID in single quotes. I also need these double quotes. I'll show you. If you go like this, and then you check media button ID, right? It's going to be key error. There's no media button ID, but I see it right here. So what's really going on? You're going to have to do the actual key value pair, which is this guy right here, the entire thing, because why this is the key, everything in front of the colon. Everything in front of the colon is the key. So you're going to go like this, app.getRunningApp, right click to paste, but everything in front of the colon is your key, and then it should give you the value. So like this. Okay, right click to paste, enter. Now it gets you the proxy to the button object. So really, you should always use PDB to ask what are things, where are things, and it will tell you some small gotchas like this one right here, where actually there's an extra quote that you need to add in order to make sure that you go down the dictionary correctly. Okay, let's just check the directory of this button real quick, and you'll see that there will be a text method, or sorry, there will be a text attribute right here. And then what are we going to do with this text? Okay, well, we can just change it. We can change the text to whatever we want. So again, this one, like this, right click to copy, right click to paste, text, right? It's media screen. But because we have access to this widget now, we can change all of its attributes as much as we want. And by changing their attributes, we will change their actual appearance in Kivy. Alright, this has been Kivy School. Thank you for watching. Have a great day.